idea of talking to a camera. I'm still getting used to it. Today I'm going to be talking about another country which I happened to just stumble upon.
Che confusione sarà perché ti amo, è un'emozione che cresce piano piano. Stringimi forte e stammi più vicino. Se ci sto bene sarà perché ti amo.
Mi accanto al ritmo, nel dolce il tuo respiro. È primavera, sarà perché ti amo.
So I got my tickets for 130 dirhams each way, which is about $35 each, and I decided to go to Iceland from there. I read this book recently called The Midnight Library. The concept of the book is just so beautiful. It's about how there is your favorite cozy destination. It could be a library, it could be a coffee shop, it could be a blockbuster store, and for me, it would be a library as well, where you can literally go there and pick out any book which will be a chapter of your life. And if you had to even make one slight change in your decision, what would the results lead to? Until you're content your current life and you want to go back to your own life. It's such a beautiful book. I would urge everyone to read the book. That book was my wave of inspiration and how I ended up choosing my present self. I decided to make that crazy decision of just booking that ticket and flying to Italy. Before I proceed, I would like to give a big sisterly advice over here. Do not tell your plans until it's done to people. Okay, I was so excited for Iceland that I ended up getting sick just before my trip. Someone sneezed on me at work, okay, or sneezed around me. Point being, everyone around my table got sick, and so did I. I had a temperature before I was supposed to fly, which was, I think, the 18th of March 2 years ago, 2023. It wasn't good. Trust me, because I ended up getting sick. I had a temperature of 101. I tried rebooking the flight for 19th. Now, the thing with 19th was the flight was full. So I had to book for 20th. And because it was 2 days apart and it was so last minute, I ended up spending almost $500 rebooking the flight. And I prayed to God that my flight to Iceland would also get delayed. Not just that, my flight on top of this also got delayed. So I anyways decided to just stay up all night and take the next flight to Iceland. But I couldn't do that because my flight got delayed. It was delayed by 13 hours. So I know, it was so sad. I had everything ready. I was prepared. The idea of that journey just makes me realize every single time that you shouldn't be telling your plans to anyone. Okay? Observe, but do not absorb. You might absorb the wrong kind of energies. Moving on. The visa process. Firstly, check your country status. Does your country require a Schengen visa, or are you just eligible to walk into it? Secondly, if you're anyone who has a weak passport like mine, you will have to go to the VFS website and book your Schengen visa. So for a Schengen visa, you need to have a valid passport. It needs to be valid for up to 6 months after you return. In some cases, I have noticed that you might need passport size photographs that they will just accept. In some cases, they do take your picture. They don't just accept the picture. So for example, when I was applying for Italy, they just accepted my picture. But for Hungary, they took my picture. Same thing happened with Austria as well. So just check which country you're applying for, and it could vary from country to country. Proof of accommodation, which hotel, which hostel, which Airbnb, where will you be staying? Proof of your flight tickets. You don't necessarily need to book your tickets in advance. You can also go for the dummy route, as in you can book dummy tickets temporarily. It's going to cost you about $50 if you prefer to take the dummy tickets. For me, generally whenever I book tickets to Europe, I ensure that the tickets don't cost me more than $50 to $100. In that case, I mean, thankfully it has never gotten rejected, and I hope it stays that way. But yes, in the unlikely scenario that it would probably get rejected, it's just better to stay on the safer side. So it's totally your call. If you think that the flight tickets are anyways expensive, buy the dummy tickets. If not, then I suggest you directly buy the flight tickets, because I mean, if you're anyways planning to go, why not? You need a travel insurance. If you're someone who is working for a company, then you need a letter from your employer. For me, I generally take my tenancy contract as well. I also take my company's trade license because I'm hired by them. You need proof of your income, or just to show them that you can pay for yourself once you're there. If you're visiting someone, in that case, you might require a letter from the person you're visiting. If you are under someone else's visa or if you're a minor, then you probably require a letter from your parents. Now, it's better to carry more than less. Always, always be over prepared than under prepared, because you never know what might go wrong. And believe me, flashing the money works almost every time. So keep that in mind just for your future things. Now, the processing time can vary. For Italy, it was only 3 days. I got lucky. For Budapest as well, for me it was only 3 to 5 days. It didn't take very long. However, I did realize that for Austria, when I had applied, they said 45 days, which was crazy. I had to withdraw my passport, and that was the only time it did get rejected, because we withdrew the passport within a week. We were like, we can't leave our passport there for too long. My mom has to travel. The visa fee is about 80 euros. Again, that varies from country to country. Which country are you applying through? And yeah, that's about it for Schengen. Moving on, the stay. Because I was supposed to fly on the 20th to Iceland, I did not have a stay in Italy. And previously, during my other solo trip to a very scary, a sort of superior country, it was to US, and the immigration officers over there are way more intimidating. Thankfully, the one in Italy was super nice. He just asked me like, oh, hi, you're welcome here. What are you planning to do here? And I was like, I'm just gonna go around, visit museums. I'm an architecture student. I love history and I'm so excited to be in Rome. That was enough for him, which was so nice. However, my only other experience was in US, and over there he asked me, okay, what are your plans? Why are you here? And I accidentally said something along the lines of, oh, I'm here visiting United States of America, something like that. And he literally gave me the most suspicious look, like, what do you mean United Arab? It's like, I'm coming from UAE. I haven't slept in like over 48 hours. Please just excuse my stuttering right now. But yeah, the immigration officer in Italy was super nice. I hadn't booked my hotel, so I'm so glad he didn't ask me about my stay. I literally just stood at the airport and then I booked whatever hotel I found on booking.com. So it was Hello Rome. Oh my god, it's one of the best hostel stays I have experienced. Getting from the airport to the city center, I had taken a train and the train cost me about 14 euros. I think it was just 3 stops away and that was the final stop. The next thing was the road to get there. Rome could be pretty steep. I mean, again, I have heard worse things about other cities like Portugal, where everything is steep or it's just staircase, but I felt that a little bit about Rome as well, because it's just cobblestone, and if you carry like luggages or anything with wheels, it could be a little bit of an issue. If you're someone with a heart condition, again, I would recommend that you have a little bit of a physical appetite to walk around, because it's one of those cities where you walk a lot. So once I got to my hostel, it was so nice. I met this girl almost immediately and we became very good friends. Yeah, and we decided to go grab dinner. It was awesome. I had to get some rest because I was sick the night before that, and I still decided to go for this trip. So I slept, I woke up, I took a shower, changed, and then we went for dinner. I haven't had better pasta in my life. I'm gonna go through my gallery and look for the picture of the pasta. It's honestly one of the best pastas I have had in my life. And if you look at it, you will think, oh, it's probably like salmon or something in the pasta. For the record, I prefer vegetarian food, okay? And Italy, when it comes to food, they have the best kind of diversity. Whatever you want, you get it, okay? In terms of food, I think they are so underrated. They put pear in my pasta. A pear. I know, I was not expecting that. It was such a surprise, and it was the waiter's recommendation. So good. I'm still like, when I think about it, I drool. So when I got back, again, it was just all about networking and, like bonding with other people. That night, I slept properly. The next day in the morning, I decided to just like go for a tour by myself and see what the city has to provide. I wasn't sure what morning tours did they have, so I decided to just like go for the skip the queue option. Just visit the Colosseum, the Pantheon. So I booked a trip on Get Your Guide. It was nice for me because I got to go to all of these places, and since I was all by myself, again, when you go for all of these tours, there are other people as well. And personally, I have had almost everyone, like I feel like people in general are just so nice. And when you're traveling alone, you get to like absorb so much of this information. There is hardly any distraction. You can do things the way you want to. I just wanted to sit there, maybe do like a live sketch or something. I didn't do it because I was tired. There's too much walking. But just The vibe of the city is so inspiring. You would want to do something like that. On the way back to my hostel, I found two of my roommates and we ended up bonding over gelato. So once we got back to the hostel, we decided to just like go for a ping pong match because the hostel was hosting one. And it was my first time playing ping pong. I have come to realize that I have beginner's luck. So whenever I try something new, it comes off really well, and then I have to start practicing to actually maintain it. Otherwise, I'm just really bad at it. So like the second time, first time, amazing, I am winning. Okay, I got like, I lost by 3-10 because, you know, the first three I was like, yeah, I'm winning. Yeah. I think that was a great icebreaker. We got to speak to each other. At night, we ended up going to just see what the city had to offer for nightlife. So we ended up going to an ice bar. It was already very cold. I don't even know whose idea it was, but it just seemed like such a fun thing to do. And we ended up at an ice bar. And then we went to the Trevi Fountain.
Okay, girls. Hey, Oscar. Okay. Hi, guys. It's Trevi. Hello, Roma. Hello. Hi. See me.
By this point, we were like, the people in my group were quite drunk, and it was kind of an hazard. Anyway, once we got back to our room, I decided to just crash because the next day I was just supposed to go to Vatican. So because I was only on like 5 hours of sleep, I was so tired, so tired. A heads up on the public transport system in Italy, it's very slow. You never know what might go wrong, so just be prepared. Always leave early. I would say this because I was new, I didn't understand the language, I didn't know how to get from one place to another. If you enjoy walking, walk. So once I got to that place where I was supposed to go, the tour had already left. Thankfully, there were other people who had faced the exact same issues, so we all went together. Yeah, we ended up going to the Vatican Museum, we went to the church, and we went to the Basilica. It was so beautiful. I would say that was honestly one of those very spiritual days where you just have this realization that you are at the right place at the right time where you're supposed to. It did make me feel very close to the universe at that point. I was there for 5 days and I only went to Rome. There were people who recommended that we could have taken like a day trip to Milan or a day trip to Florence, but I just felt like there was so much to see in Rome that I couldn't go around. I didn't feel like it. Nightlife was amazing. There was a farmer's market. The hostel I stayed in for the first 3 nights was Rome Hello. The last 2 nights was Hotel des Artistes. I'll link it in my description below. I think I was pretty disappointed when I went to my second hostel because the vibe was not the same. It was way more like a hotel. But once I met my roommates, I think they just like made everything so much better. Now, next thing, safety. I don't necessarily think that Italy is an unsafe country. However, for your possessions, I would ask you to be very safe. Also, another thing that I noticed was during one of the nights, we were at an Irish pub. My friend was getting danced on. Sure, the vibe was amazing. We were all having so much fun. But yeah. And also, there are very creepy people out there. Just stay safe and take care of your possessions. I think that's very important. Especially, I would say, in like mostly in touristy locations. Now, for the Vatican tour, I ended up spending about like $100. The other one, I ended up spending around like $75. My stay for the first 3 nights was about 50 euros each night. The rating on booking.com was 9.1. So I was like, okay, for a hostel, I mean, that sounds amazing. I think it was an understatement. Like 9.1, that place is way better than a 9.1. Secondly, the other hostel that I was staying in, the rating was 8.6. I spent 35 euros per night, which was slightly cheaper. The only reason I moved to this hostel was 1, it was cheaper, and secondly, it was closer to the train station. So when I was returning, I wouldn't have to like, scramble, or if I'm getting late, it would just make my life easier. On my last day there, we decided to go for a pasta making class. I will link it in the description down below, but I think that was one of my favorite experiences in Rome because we did it with a nonna. she sent tickets to her village. So we ended up going to the village and we had some of the best wines over there and we ate such delicious pasta. And it was such a family bonding experience. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video. See you. Bye.